Everyone for attending the webinar today, how to use the CEU courses by the MIA+BSI to build relationships with architects, designers, how to get more people into your showroom using this program. My name is Sarah Gregg. I am the CEU administrator for the MIA+BSI, and I've been in this position for the past 6 years. Prior to that, I worked in-house at a granite fabricator down in New Mexico. They were one of the first companies who got started using this program, and I was one of the ones who helped them to get that going. So I've been involved in the program just about as long as anybody else. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I will be your first point of contact as you participate in the program. Another name that you will see regularly once you are enrolled in scheduling classes is Gretchen Kelly. She helps out with creating your paperwork and filing credit for your attendees, so you will likely see emails from her as well. Over the next hour and a half, we're going to talk about the history of the CEU program, how your involvement can benefit your company. We'll also talk individually about each one of the courses that we currently have available, just to briefly go over the different learning objectives, what the basic content of the course is, so that you can decide if that's one you might want to present. And we'll also talk about what literature we have available to help you learn the classes. We'll also talk about scheduling classes, what paperwork is involved, how to make sure that your attendees get credit for participating in your CEU classes, and then finally we will go through the enrollment process and the fees that are involved to participate. The vision of the program is to provide accurate and ongoing education about the value, benefits, and best practices of using natural stone as a building material to architects, designers, and other professionals in the construction industry. And I apologize for just reading that off the screen. I realize that you can do that yourself. I just feel that statement really encompasses what we do as a program. What you see up on the screen is a group of architects and designers who are actively engaged in a CEU about natural stone. The idea behind the program is that the more architects and designers know about stone, the more comfortable they're going to be specifying it in their projects. So first and foremost, it's a great way for you to provide this education, and by doing so, positioning yourself as the expert in the industry so that you become their go-to person when they have questions about stone, and hopefully can make it into their future projects. Now, the second large advantage of being a part of the CEU program is it's really a great way to give back to the industry. By your education for them, not only does it benefit your company, but of course it also benefits the industry as a whole. We'll see fewer problems down the road and hopefully more stone specified in commercial and residential projects. So thank you for considering participating in this program. The industry does appreciate it, and we also hope that it works out for you and that you're able to build your business using these classes. Other parts of our mission include utilizing the continuing education systems that have been set up by the AIA, IDCEC, LASIS, NKBA, GBCI, and other design professional organizations. And we'll talk more about who each one of those acronyms are a little later on today. We also develop tools and resources about stone that are accurate and consistent in format, and we empower you guys as our members to provide these credits to the audiences of your choice. Now, the MIA+BSI is the actual provider of these CEU classes. So we are in charge of a number of things. Most of them happen behind the scenes without you even realizing they're going on. But I do like to go through these different things that we do for you just so that you understand what it takes to run the whole program. Number one, we ensure all courses are up to date with their CEU credit status. Every couple of years, each course will cycle. We then have to review it, make sure everything is still up to date, resubmit it so that we can make sure that you're able to continue giving credit for those classes. We also review all of the courses prior to submitting them through our provider network to make sure that all of the information is accurate, it's well-rounded, and it's educational. So we do that every 2 years. when we resubmit classes, and then we also do a very thorough review of all classes prior to their first submission through the provider network. We also administer the program by providing all of the paperwork and recording all of the attendance and reporting credits for your attendees. We also maintain those records in case any of your participants are ever audited for their transcripts, which does happen occasionally. We orientate speakers, which is what we're doing right now. We also listen to feedback from the CEU program audiences and make recommendations to the committee. So as you give classes, one of the pieces of paperwork that you are going to receive is an evaluation form that we ask your attendees to fill out and return. And we make tallies of those evaluation forms. We pay attention to the feedback that we're getting on those so that we can decide, do we need to update an existing course? Do we need to create a brand new course? But bottom line here, we do listen to that feedback and make sure that our CEU steering committee is able to make those changes when they come up. We also keep our volunteer committees productive by organizing meetings and making recommendations for priorities. And this really relates to the bullet point we just talked about. We do have meetings regularly, and you can watch your email to find out the agenda of these meetings and when they will be taking place. If you would like to get more involved, you can take part in those development committees to have a say in what these CEU courses are going to contain in them. So I definitely welcome and encourage you to participate in those calls. Again, simply watch your email for the agendas and the timing of those classes or those meetings. All of them will take place via webinar, so they should be fairly easy to attend. Now moving into a brief history of the program. The MIA+BSI has been providing CEU classes for architects for a couple of decades. Typically, they've been offered at industry trade shows such as KBIS, the AIA convention, coverings, surfaces, those types of events. In 2004, the MIA Education Committee developed a pilot program which allowed the MIA members to present an AIA class underneath the AIA's provider status. So basically, we wrote the first class, Natural Stone 101, and we got it approved through the AIA so that our members could give credit for that class. That committee at that time was chaired by Rich Booms of Boomstone Company, who said that we could empower our members to speak on behalf of the MIA using MIA presentations and supported by MIA staff to provide education to design professionals in their communities. And that's really what we're still doing today. Now you can see in the first couple of years when we only had one class and only credit through the AIA, it was a building time for us. But over the years, we've seen significant growth. Every year we see fairly large jumps, especially from 2015 to 2016. Last year we gave 485 classes and educated over 5,000 architects and designers. So it's definitely something that people are catching on about. They are seeing value in it, and more people are starting to participate. Moving into the types of CEU events. And we'll start with how many credits do design professionals need. Now this is going to range depending on the organization that they're involved in and also the state that they live in. We do see some variation there. The first example is AIA, and those are for the architects. They currently require 18 credit hours per year, 12 of which must have the HSW or Health, Safety, and Welfare designation. And if you've been at all involved in scheduling CEU classes in the past, you will know that it is a common question of the architects. When you call to make an appointment for a CEU class, they will likely ask you, do you have HSW credit? That type of a credit is tougher to achieve. Most of our classes do have that. There's a couple of them that do not, but most of them do. But they are a lot higher demand classes than the general learning unit. Another example is for ASID, who is an association for interior designers. They report credits through the IDCC, and they require 10 hours of learning over the course of a 2-year period. So significantly less than the AIA, but please don't discount them as a key target market for these classes. Interior designers are making most interior materials decisions these days, so it's very important that they understand stone and how it should be specified in the right projects. NKBA is another example. For their Certified Kitchen Designer, or CKD designation, they require 60 credit hours before they get to that level. And they also have annual requirements to maintain their CKD. And they have a number of other designations or certifications. That's just one example. Another thing to keep in mind is that 1 hour is tracked differently by each group. Some of them track 1 credit hour as 1.0, and some of them, like the ASID and NKBA, track 1 credit hour as 0.1. So as you look at the credits available, I have gotten the question before, why do we only have a partial credit for the interior designers? And it's actually a full hour of learning. It's not a partial credit. They just track it on a different scale. By far the most popular type of event that we see companies holding is a lunch and learn. And this can be done one of 2 ways. You can either go to the design firm or you can host it at your location. If you're going out to the design firm, it's generally pretty easy to coordinate, especially at the larger architectural firms. You simply call them, let them know that you would like to come and talk to the members of their firm and that you have a CEU credit available that you can present. They usually will point you to the person in their office that's in charge of scheduling those in-house lunch and learns. So they'll forward you to their voicemail, or if they're available, you'll get to talk to them right away. Some of them are going to be booking out 2 weeks in advance. Some of them book out 6 months in advance. It just depends on how many CEUs they schedule per month and how many people are trying to make those appointments with that firm. Now, the other type of lunch and learn that we see is companies hosting these lunch and learns at their facilities. Now, this is generally a little more difficult. It takes more time to coordinate a successful in-house lunch and learn. And I'm going to share some ideas on how other companies have done this in the past to help make it a little easier for you. But I will just share with you here, especially at the larger architectural firms, they do get a little spoiled with their CEU credits. They have so many people that go to their offices and present these classes that they don't have to leave their office to get their CEU credits for the year. They don't need to leave their facility and come out to yours. So we need to entice them by making it an interesting event, or by networking and doing some things ahead of time to spur some more interest in that class. I will say that email marketing seems to work really well for in-house lunch and learns. Quite a bit of work up front. You do need to put quite a bit of time into establishing your list and getting permission to email the list. But once you have established it, it's something that you can keep using over the years for other CEU lunch and learns, even for product announcements and other marketing messages that you want to send to them. But we do need permission to email them before you send that, so make sure you're not just copying and pasting them from membership directories that are available online. It is tempting, but we try to do it the right way. Another type of CEU event that we see is chapter events, and especially NKBA, but also the AIA, the ASID, and some other organizations. They'll have chapters in each region of our country, and most of them hold monthly meetings, and most of their monthly meetings have a CEU component. So I would strongly recommend becoming an associate member of these organizations and attend their monthly meetings. Don't need to go to all of them, but just start going to a few, start learning who it is that attends these meetings, and find out who it is that's in charge of scheduling their CEUs and of scheduling who's hosting the next meeting. And it's a really great opportunity to have a large group of people, all that would be very engaged in learning about your product and even better if you can get them into your facility by hosting the event. We do see that happen quite often. And another type is multiple credit events. I like to call these procrastinator events. A lot of times in October, November, people will hold these multiple credit or procrastinator events because a lot of people's credits are due at the end of the year. So in October, November, every year we see a big jump in CEU activity. It's just a good time for people to get those CEU credits done before they're due, a little bit before the holiday season starts in December. Another popular month for CEU activity is March and April, so you can also try these types of events in those months. A combination of classroom and tour works well. I'll talk a little more about our tour credit later, but basically we do have a CEU credit for giving a tour of your facility. But if you would do a sit-down presentation in the classroom or conference room, maybe the Natural Stone 101 class, and then get people up and moving around doing the tour credit, and then sit down for another 1 hour in your conference room doing another one of our classes, that would give them 3 credits for 3 hours of their time. You can also consider bringing in an outside speaker. Maybe it's somebody from another location within your company, or maybe it's somebody outside of your company. It could even be somebody outside of the stone industry. If you need help coordinating something like that, let me know. I do have a list of speakers that are within our program that do travel to different locations to present the classes that we have in our program. So I can give you the names of them if you are interested. Just remember that if you are bringing in an outside speaker, your company must still be enrolled in the program. So if you're bringing in somebody that's already enrolled in the program through their own company, yet you are hosting the event and marketing the event as being brought to them by your company, we do still require you to enroll into the program yourself. And if you have questions about that, let me know. And the last type of CEU event that we see is the tour credit only. So we have several companies that are involved in our program who will generate the tour credit paperwork once a month. So at the beginning of the month, they'll print it off because they know that they're going to have a few people throughout the month stopping into their facility to approve material or for some other reason. But having a CEU credit to offer them gives them that little extra incentive to stay for a full hour and to really get a good idea of your company's products and services. And then at the end of the month, after they've had a few people stop in throughout the last couple of weeks, they'll send that paperwork in and we'll process everything for credit. So that is something that is an option for you as well. One question that I get frequently is, can an architect or designer attend more than one of these classes each year? And the answer is no, not for credit. Every course has a 2-year cycle. So every 2 years, they can retake the same class. Now that said, we do have 13 presentations within our program at this time, so you potentially can give every architect or designer 13 credits every 2-year period. Now I have a few case studies just to share some examples of how other companies are using the program. And the first one is for Realstone Systems, who is a manufacturer of thin natural stone thin veneer panels, and they're based out of Troy, Michigan. They were our Educator of the Year last year, so they gave more classes than any other company that's involved in our program. And they have 15 speakers, and they're all located across the United States in charge of a specific region. And it is the way that they are taught to build relationships with the architects in their area. We happen to have a CEU class specifically about thin veneer, so it's highly relevant to their company. And they simply call the firms in their area. They introduce themselves, let them know what type of products that they sell, and let them know they also have a CEU credit and they would love to come in and talk to their firm and present this class. And it's just a really easy way for them to get their foot in the door with these firms that they're looking to sell to. and they have great luck with it. Again, it's part of their training process when they come in, start as a new rep for them. So it's just how they learn to build business, and it works. It's a very efficient way to start building relationships. The next case study that I have is for Marble and Granite Incorporated. They are a stone wholesaler based out of Westwood, Massachusetts, and they do something that's pretty interesting. I think a lot of other companies could benefit with a strategy like this, so I like to share it. What they do is first they call the architectural firm that they're looking to connect with, and they offer to come into their facility and present the Natural Stone 101 class. And they make that appointment, they present the class, and then they leave. Now, a couple of weeks later, they'll call that same firm and say, hey, this is Joe, and I was there a couple of weeks ago presenting the Natural Stone 101 class. We just got some really great material, and I wanted to invite you guys to come down to our facility and take a look. And hey, by the way, while you're here, I can give you a CEU credit for coming down. So because they've made that first connection at their firm, those people have started to get to know Joe. They like him. They do want to see this new material that he has. So they're that much more likely to leave their offices and come down to Marble and Granite to do a tour of their facility and see that new material and get the CEU class. So it's a two-part strategy, and I like it. The next case study that I have is for Walker Zanger, particularly their Dallas showroom, which is one of 15 tile and stone showrooms that they have across the United States. And they have 3 speakers that are located there, and they're giving about 18 tour credits per year. And they're not going out to the architectural firms first like Marble and Granite is. They're simply having a lot of luck getting people into their offices. They do sort of a VIP after-hours event. They serve appetizers and cocktails, and it's a lot of fun. Now, the reason that they are able to do this successfully is because of the networking that they do with their regional chapters of the AIA, the ASID, and the NKBA. So these 3 speakers that are stationed at that location, they are very active with these regional chapters. So the people that attend those meetings regularly, they know who they are. They have gotten to know them pretty well. And when they call them up to schedule an appointment, they're already through that icebreaker phase. So they have had a lot of success with that strategy. And the final case study that I have is for Picco Engineering, who is a structural engineering firm based out of Toronto, Ontario. They have 1 speaker, and they average about 3 classes per year, so they're not really active within the CEU program. They have what we call a customized company presentation, and it's called Stone Cladding Technologies, Getting It Right the First Time. And they had written this presentation many, many years ago, and they had been giving it to the larger architectural firms that they wanted to get in touch with and having no trouble making appointments until about 3 years ago. And they were calling new architectural firms trying to build their business again, and because they didn't have a CEU credit, they were getting denied those appointments. So they started looking into becoming a provider through the AIA. They realized there's a lot of paperwork involved. It's also very expensive. So they knew we were doing this program. They asked, if there's something that we could do to help them out. So we looked at their presentation. We made sure that it was accurate, that it was well-rounded, that it was not proprietary. That's the key thing. With a CEU presentation, we can't talk specifically about brand names or proprietary products. So we made sure it passed all of the rules, gave them a few tips to bulk it up a little bit to make it a little more well-rounded. And we then submitted it for them through our provider network. So they didn't have to figure out all of the paperwork. They didn't have to pay the big fees to become a provider, and they didn't have to spend all of the time figuring it out. And this is something that we do have available for other companies like you if you are in more of a niche part of the industry and maybe one of our turnkey presentations isn't quite the right fit for your company. Now we have a short quiz. We have a couple of questions that are going to be given throughout the day, throughout the webinar. So the question now is, who can you contact with questions about enrolling in the CEU program? So if you can jot down your answer, at the end of the webinar today, I'm going to go through each of the 4 questions again, and I'm going to ask you to email me the answers for these questions following the webinar. So who can you contact with questions about enrolling in the CEU program? Should be an easy one. And we'll move on to talking about the benefits of the program. So by far the most obvious and largest benefit to being involved in the CEU program is full access to our program resources. We currently have 13 presentations. They've all been developed by the MIA+BSI staff and member committees. They come with presentation materials, so they all have PowerPoints. There's also training materials to help you learn the classes. Some of them have videos of somebody else presenting the class. Some of them have audio files. Some of them have extensive speaker notes that make sure that you understand the intent of each slide. Some of them have folders full of resources such as case studies and handbooks that you can use to read up on before the presentation. We also have printable handouts for most of the presentations. So all of those resources are sent to you as soon as you enroll into the program. Another large benefit is bookstore discounts. So you probably know that the MIA+BSI produces a number of resources for the stone industry and sells them through our online bookstore. There's a number of items that we have discounted for companies who are enrolled into the CEU program, and I have some examples up on the screen. The first one is the Dimension Stone Design Manual, or the DSDM. That goes for $300 for a non-member, and for CEU companies, we give it to you guys for $50. And that's basically our cost to print it, and the reason we do this, it's just a really great way for us to get that document into the hands of architects and designers. Now, it is large and it's heavy. We realize that a lot of the people that are enrolled in the program are architectural reps. You're on and off of airplanes, you're in and out of rental cars, and you guys sell stone. So your samples are pretty heavy too. So we don't want to burden you with the big book. We will also sell, just for CEU companies, the flash drives that contain all of the information that's in that DSDM in an electronic form in a little flash drive that's very portable and easy to carry around. We'll even customize it with your logo. Definitely one of the more popular items on our class notification form. Another example up on the screen is one of our technical bulletins, and there's a number of other examples or a number of other items that are significantly discounted for you guys. Now, the class notification form, and I'll talk more about how to access that later on, but this is the only place that you can purchase these items at your CEU discounted price. Now, we also have a members area where you can get discounts because you're a member, but the CEU company discounts are even higher than that. So make sure that you're using the class notification form to purchase these items. And speaking of the website, we also have a number of different resources that are available there. If you are on the home page of our site or any other page of our site, you can use the top navigation bar, click on Education, and then Continuing Education, and that will bring you to this page that you see on the screen. We have a number of different sections of this part of our website. You can learn more about the CEU program. You can also learn more about each of the classes that we have available. And this is a popular page for people that are enrolled into the CEU program, because this is where you can preview each of the classes that we have. What are the learning objectives? What's the description? What credits are available? This page is always up to date. So as you are participating, if you need to look up a class code, maybe it has changed in the past couple of years, you can always look up and make sure that what you have is up to date.
We also have a lot of companies who will send their clients to this page so that they can look over the classes that you're able to present and choose one that they would like you to give to their firm. We also have the Find a Speaker page. We're going to talk a little bit about that on the next slide. And we also have the Speaker Resources, which is where you can download copies of the orientation if you need to look something up. You can access the class notification form. You can access all of the enrollment forms, speaker biographies, all of the things that you need throughout your experience within the program are available on this Speaker Resources page. Now, the Find a Speaker page is located on the website as well. So what we're doing there is helping to promote our CEU companies online. So architects and designers are coming to our website. We get quite a lot of traffic on this page. They're looking for companies in their area that can give them CEU classes. So the way this page is set up, at the top we list our premier providers, immediately followed by all of the companies who are enrolled in the CEU program, organized by state, so that they can find someone that's close to them. And all of those listings are linked back to your website so that they can get in touch with you easily. At the bottom of this Find a Speaker page, we also list individually all of the speakers who have achieved MIA+BSI speaker certification. So if that's something that you're looking to do, we do promote you on this page. We're actually going to be driving even more traffic to this page in the future through the Natural Stone promotional campaign. Another big benefit of the program is that we save you time and money. So earlier we talked about Picco Engineering and how they were trying to become a provider through the AIA so that they could get their stone cladding class approved to give credit. And they found out if they were going to become a provider through the AIA alone, it's going to be about $2,000 to $3,000. And that's not even counting all of the time that it would take to figure out how to develop a new presentation if you didn't already have one, and so on. So it's really the easy button for using CEUs to connect with architects and designers. Our programs are also accredited through multiple organizations, not just the AIA. So more and more at different firms, you're going to see interior designers there. You're going to see landscape architects. So it's better if you have a single class that can give credit to multiple different organizations, and that's what we have here. So AIA is the architects. The IDCC is an umbrella organization for interior design associations, including ASID, that would be the big one. We also have credit through NKBA and LACES, or LACES, which is another umbrella organization for landscape architecture associations, including ASLA would be the big one. We also have credit through the USGBC, so if you're looking to connect with lead professionals, we do have 3 classes that we currently have approved to give credit through that organization. Another big benefit are our presentations focus on education, and that is a requirement in order to be approved through these different organizations to provide credit to their members. It must be educational. We cannot talk about proprietary products, we cannot have logos throughout the presentation, and we cannot have brand names. So if you are someone in the industry, you've been working with the same company for 10 years, you were going to sit down and try to create a presentation to educate architects. It would be very difficult for you to not talk specifically about the products and services that your company offers. It needs to be very general, and that's where our programs really fill a void. When we develop a new presentation, one person will start it and get us to a point where it's almost ready to go. And at that point, what we do is we pull together a committee of other members. So we'll have a quarrier, a fabricator, a tool manufacturer, a chemical manufacturer, people from all different parts of the industry come in to review the presentation. Because what a fabricator knows that an architect needs to know about specifying a product, a quarrier might not even think about. So you can see it's really beneficial to bring in those different viewpoints to really create a well-rounded educational experience. We also have several networking opportunities available for you guys at the different trade shows. We have meetings where you can come and meet other people involved in the CEU program. And I will tell you, the people who are involved, these are the movers and shakers in the industry. These are people that are really good to know. If you're looking to build your network, just so if something comes up, you're having a problem, you're not sure how to remedy it, how to approach it, you have other people within the industry that you can reach out to and try to figure out an answer to the problem. We also have several opportunities which don't require travel, and these would be in the form of meetings via GoToMeeting. So if we are developing a new class, or if we are reviewing one of our existing classes to make sure that it's still up to date, we send out meeting agendas via email, and you can take a look at those and find out if that's something that you want to get involved in. We definitely would encourage you to take part in those procedures, because not only does it give you an opportunity to share what you feel needs to be in those presentations, but again, it's a way for you to network and to build relationships with other people in our industry. And you know, for many of you, other people in the industry are part of your target market, so you might even be able to secure some business in that way. And that's the end of this section. So we have another quiz question. The question is, where can you purchase items from the MIA+BSI bookstore at your CEU discounted rate? So it might be a little tricky, but write it down. Again, we'll review these questions at the end if I skip ahead before you're able to write this down. Where can you purchase items from the MIA+BSI bookstore at your CEU discounted rate? I think I need to find the Jeopardy song so that I can play it during these quiz questions. I'll spare you my singing voice and I won't do that for you today. Current courses that we have available. The first one is our foundation class, Natural Stone 101, everything you need to know about designing with the world's oldest building material. Again, this is the first class that we produced, basically a geology lesson on natural stone. How is stone formed? Is it igneous, sedimentary, metamorphic? What does that mean? How does that affect it as a building material? What is the mineral composition of that stone? Is it calcareous or is it siliceous? How do those different things affect it as a building material? So we go through all of the main stone species that are available on the commercial market today. So for example, we'll talk about limestone. This is what limestone looks like. These are some key characteristics of limestone. This is what a limestone quarry might look like. These are some applications where limestone performs well. And we go through that same rotation with other stone species such as granite, soapstone, marble, travertine, basalt, number of other ones. Comes with a PowerPoint. It also comes with a training video so that you can watch this video and just get a better feel for the flow of the presentation. If you're not quite sure what to say on a certain slide, you can watch that video and find out what Rob Bacon had to say during that slide. We also have 2 printable handouts that come along with this presentation. One of them lists all of the major resources that are produced for the stone industry and how to find them, and the other one that gives short descriptions of all of the stone species that we talk about during this presentation. So this is a very good class. If you are new to the program, not sure which class you want to start out with, I would strongly recommend starting with this class. It's our most popular one, very easy to present. If you've been in the industry a couple years or longer, you should be comfortable with the terminology that's used here. It shouldn't require too much studying up front. So this is the one I would recommend for anyone to present first if you're unsure. The next class we'll talk about is the art of specifying natural stone. This class also comes with a PowerPoint and a training video so that you can watch and get a better feel for the presentation. And we developed this class because we were paying attention to those evaluation forms, and architects and designers were letting us know that they wanted more education about how to specify stone. So as we all know, there's quite a bit of things that you need to consider in order to properly specify the correct stone for the proper application. So we just go through all of those things that they need to know. Block sizes, is it calcareous or siliceous? Is this going to be a commercial application? We also talk about what are the responsibilities and liabilities for each of the people involved in a construction project. So it's a very good class. It talks about pricing also. What are some things that are going to drive the price up if you're trying to specify a project with a lower budget? What are some things that you can try to do to save on some of the costs? The next class is Introduction to Stone Design 2. We used to consider this one a follow-up to Natural Stone 101. I don't really consider it a follow-up anymore, but in the early days of the program, we had several companies who would present the Natural Stone 101 class and then the Stone Design 2 class at the same time, one right after another. This class is pretty technical, so you do need to have knowledge or experience or study a lot before giving this class. It talks about testing standards, how they're performed, what they test, what they mean. It does come with a PowerPoint, comes with a training audio of Chuck Muehlbauer, our technical director. He actually is presenting the Natural Stone 101 class and then this Stone 2 class, so it's a 2-hour audio. But watch that, follow along with the PowerPoint. It's a really great way to learn a lot about our industry and the things that affect this stone as a building material. Stone care, what you should know. This class focuses mostly on residential flooring and countertops, but we also talk about commercial applications and exterior applications. So what are the things that you need to do to maintain your stone installation on a daily basis? What would be considered a deep clean for that application? At what point do you need to call in a professional? At what point does it turn into a renovation? So very good class. At the end of this class, we have a small section on common stone failures. So we talk about efflorescence, traffic patterns in a commercial application, mold in a shower installation, and what we can do to prevent those common problems. Now, we don't want that section to be too long because we don't want people to think that every application of stone has the possibility to fail. So depending on who you're presenting to and depending on the products and services that your company is involved in, you may want to swap out the photos that exist in this presentation with different ones that you can find in the optional photos folder. This comes with a PowerPoint. It comes with the training audio also of somebody else presenting the class. The next one is Natural Stone and Green Design. This is one of our more popular classes. It talks about how stone fits into the green building movement. So what is the stone industry doing to reduce, reuse, recycle? What green building standards can you achieve using natural stone? Comes with a printable handout. It also comes with a printable quiz so that you can give that to your attendees to make sure that they learned everything they were supposed to learn during the presentation. This one also comes with a resources folder, so several case studies and handbooks that have been produced that you can read up on before presenting. It also comes with a training audio. Natural Stone, the Evolving Marketplace Technology and Product Applications. This is just a long name for our tour credit. So this is how the tour credit works. You first show one of two videos, Real Stone, Real Value, or Quarry to the Kitchen. And you can preview both of those videos on the MIA+BSI's YouTube channel, and you can purchase them at your CEU discounted price through the class notification form. So you choose which one you want to present or show, and you show that video. We then also give you a generic tour outline. So what things we think that you should be talking about during your tour. You will need to customize that document for your location. So if you have stone on display, if you have a fabrication shop where you're moving stone around the facility and cutting it and polishing it, if you have stone housed in your warehouse, you can talk about different safety procedures that come into play when housing stone. But we give you the basic outline, and again, you simply customize it for your company. You show one of the two 10-minute videos, and that's all. You can then give people credit for touring your facility. So a very easy class to present and one of our more popular ones. The next class is called Natural Stone Tile and Overview. This is a more technical class similar to the Stone 2 class, just in the part of the industry that it talks about. It was introduced in 2011 when the TCNA handbook added the stone tile specification. So previously we had relied on porcelain and ceramic specifications and then customize them for stone, but we do have our own specifications now, which is a great thing. We actually have people who will give this class to tile installers. They don't actually require CEU credits to maintain any sort of certifications. However, it's valuable information for them to know. It comes with a PowerPoint. It also comes with a printable handout and a training video. Natural stone thin veneer, the basics. Earlier I talked about Realstone systems. This is the class that they give a lot. It's a very good class, just talks about how thin veneer is made, what distinguishes a thin veneer from a cultured stone or from an anchored veneer. It has a PowerPoint, a training audio. This one also has a slideshow that rotates through different applications of thin veneer that you can show before and after the presentation. Marble use in the kitchen. This one we thought was kind of trendy at first, but it's been years since then, and I don't think it's going away. Can you use marble in a kitchen? Now, this class is intended for mostly an interior designer audience so that we can help them to set the proper consumer expectation with their clients. So before the homeowner chooses marble in their kitchen, what exactly do they need to know? It's our job as an industry to teach the interior designers how to teach the consumers. So can you use marble in the kitchen? Of course you can. People have been doing it in Europe for centuries. But in the United States, we have a little different perception of how materials should perform. We want them to look the same 10 years from now as they did the day they were installed. But as we know in the industry, marble is something that will form a patina over time. It's going to etch, it's going to get some scratches on it. So you either need to be okay with that patina or you need to be prepared to maintain that surface. Comes with a PowerPoint. It also comes with a training video and a printable handout that compares different features of countertop materials that are available in today's market. Next one is the basics of travertine selection, fabrication, installation, and maintenance. This is pretty specific to a niche part of our industry. We don't have a lot of companies that present this class, but if you're doing a travertine, a project that contains a lot of travertine for a client in the future, this is one you might want to look at. It has a PowerPoint, a training audio. It also has two printable handouts, one of them that explains the difference between good, better, and best travertine. What do you get for 99 cents a square foot at Home Depot versus what do you get for $16 a square foot from a quality stone supplier? The other one explains subterranean voids, so why flurry cut travertine might not be the best choice for a commercial lobby. Sandstone, the basics of selection, fabrication, maintenance, and restoration, pretty similar to our travertine class, only it's about sandstone. This one also comes with a PowerPoint and a training audio. Partnering with natural stone countertop fabricators and distributors for increased sales. This one has the statistics that are put out each year by the NAHB. So are people going to be buying and building homes in the next year? We look at the import and export statistics to indicate, are they likely to be installing granite and marble countertops in those kitchens that they're going to be building. We also talk about customizing their countertops with their fabricator, so placing templates on slabs for optimal seam placement, edge styles, things like that. At this point, it only comes with a PowerPoint and it only comes with NKBA credit. However, this is one that we plan to revamp this year, so watch for changes in this class coming soon. And the final class that we'll talk about today is why specify certified stone, how the Natural Dimension Stone Sustainability Standard can assist in green building projects. And this presentation comes with a PowerPoint. It also comes with extensive speaker notes so that you know exactly what the intent of each slide is. Now, we don't have a ton of companies who have achieved this standard quite yet. So we don't have a lot of companies that are wanting to present this as a CEU to architects and designers. If you are a company that has achieved this standard, it's an excellent class for you. But I just want to remind you, it's a good opportunity for me to educate you guys about this standard. It's very important for our industry. So if you are not aware of what the NSC 373 sustainability standard is, I encourage you to read through this presentation for your own education. The concrete industry, the wood industry, the quartz industry, they're all leaps and bounds ahead of us as far as positioning their products within the green building market. And stone is a little bit behind there, but this standard is something that's helping us to catch up. It is hard-coded within LEED, so people can get credit for their platinum, gold, diamond projects by using a company that has achieved this NSC 373. So very important topic. I encourage you to look into it if you are not familiar with what it is. Customizing CEU presentations. So all of those presentations that we just talked about, there's a few things that you can do to make them more relevant to your company's products and services. You can change out pictures. So if you have a library of your own photos and you want to swap them in for the ones that we have on the slides, go for it. I encourage you to do that. You can also rearrange slides. If you think that one section should be in the front instead of at the end, go ahead and move them around. You can change that based on your own presentation style. You can also add and sometimes remove slides. If one presentation is really close to what you want to talk about, you can start with that one and add a couple more slides because we didn't quite touch on this specific thing that your company specializes in. There's just some things that you need to be careful of when making any of these changes. Number one, no logos or brand names. So if you're putting in pictures, make sure that they don't have a watermark. If you're putting in information about something related to the presentation, make sure that you're not using brand names. Keep the terms general. Also, the learning objectives must be met. So if you're taking a couple of slides out because you're not quite comfortable enough to present that material, make sure that the 4 learning objectives that are at the beginning of the presentation are still met without that content. And the last bullet point we have is 70% of the original presentation must remain the same. So there's quite a bit of play actually that you can do to change and customize the presentations for your company, but there is a line. And if you're walking close to that line, you might want to consider establishing or creating your own customized presentation from scratch. We have webinars scheduled. The first one is next month in July. You can look at the events page on our website to find out when future webinars are going to be available about customizing presentations. So we'll talk about more of the rules in recommendations for customizing our existing turnkey presentations, and we also will talk about how to create your own presentation from scratch. So definitely, if you're interested in something like that, then plan to attend one of those webinars. We also have a couple of online classes. There are people that are getting their classes online. We live in a different world now than a few years ago even, and people want access to things 24/7 at their fingertips. So we have a couple of items that we can offer them to fill that need. The first class is Sustainable Stone from Cradle to Gate. So this one talks about our 373 sustainability standard. We also have an online class all about adhered veneer. And we have flyers available with access instructions so you can hand those out to the people that attend your classes. Let them know that they're available for them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, free of charge. So all of these resources exist on a flash drive. Once you enroll into the program, we mail you this flash drive, and it has all of the PowerPoints, it has all the training resources, it has all the handouts for the classes. There's also blank copies of the paperwork. So if you have a last-minute class and you're not able to notify us in time to get the paperwork customized for you, we do have blank paperwork in there, so you can fill out as much as you can and return that to us, and we can fill in the blanks later. We also have logos, so if you're looking to put together a marketing flyer or something on your website, we do have those available for you. Again, these are mailed out after you enroll into the program. If your company's already enrolled in the program, you might have access to the resources through a network drive. If not, just ask us. We don't mind sending more of these out. We don't charge you anything for them. We just need to know that you're looking for that, and we'll mail it out to you. We also have all of these resources available through Dropbox. So if you're a paid user of Dropbox, we can add you to the shared folder so that you always have access to the most up-to-date resources. Now there is about 8 gigabytes of information in that Dropbox folder, so if you're using a free version of Dropbox, it's going to push you over that free limit. So we also use the Dropbox to keep your flash drives up to date. So when you first enroll in the program, you get the flash drive and then watch your email. If we release a new class or a new resource for an existing class, we'll let you know that you can download that. And you can get that instantly through that link. Another quiz question. If you would like to make changes to one of our turnkey presentations, what should you do? If you want to customize one of the presentations, what should you do? All right, next section, how to schedule your classes. And we're going to start by talking a little bit about the fees that are involved for the program. Now we have two different tiers of enrollment. The first is typical enrollment and the second is premier enrollment. So we have a $300 annual fee for typical enrollment. There's also a $50 fee for each additional speaker and a $50 fee for each class that you present. And that $50 fee is collected on the class notification form as you schedule your classes. Now, we don't have those $50 fees to try to nickel and dime you. We're really trying to keep the cost down as much as possible. We have some companies who are enrolled in the program who only give a couple of classes per year. We don't want to have to charge them too much because we want them to be able to utilize the program. Now we have some companies that might give a presentation every month or a couple of times a month. So these $50 fees are just meant to try to even the playing field and keep it fair for everybody. We also have a tier of enrollment called Premier Enrollment, and that is $2,500 per year, and that is unlimited use of the program resources. So you can have as many speakers as you want for your company, and you can give as many classes as you want without the additional fees. So most of the time you can just do the math and figure out which one makes more sense for your company. There's a couple of other advantages to being a premier company. You are listed at the top of our Find a Speaker page, and also we will do customized orientations for your company, just a little bit more hand-holding throughout that process so that we can make sure that we get a large group of your speakers orientated at the same time. So those are just the basic tiers and the only fees that are involved to participate in the CEU program. So when you're scheduling a class, you go onto our website and fill out the class notification form. Now because of the $50 fees that we just talked about, we have two different versions of this form. One is for typical companies and one is for premier companies. So when you get to that page, the speaker resources page, it'll say class notification form, which is what most companies will use. And then below that is the premier class notification form. So if you are a premier company, you will use the premier form. And you simply fill out all of the information that's on the form, and that'll get me what I need to know in order to generate your paperwork. You also, on that typical form, will submit your $50 class fee, and on this form is where you have the opportunity to place those bookstore orders. So those items that have been significantly discounted for CEU companies, you can purchase those through this class notification form. And this is how you find the form, and this is pretty important, so I'm going to say it twice. We do get a lot of questions about this after people are starting to schedule classes. If you're on our website, from any page of our website, you click Education, Continuing Education, and then Speaker Resources. So looking at the graphic on the bottom, you click in that blue navigation bar, Education, and then Continuing Education, which brings you to this page, and then you click on Speaker Resources in that fourth box. And that will bring you to a page which allows you to submit that information so that we can get you paperwork for your class. When you click on the class notification form, if you're not already logged in to the MIA website, it's going to ask you to log in. So if you've never done this before, what you'll need to do is simply input your email address and then click on the Forgot Login or Password link. So if you have never set up a login, you simply click that link and that'll send you an email similar to many other websites, and you follow a link in the email in order to set up that password. If that doesn't work, we do have contact numbers at the bottom of this screen. Simply give us a call and we'll help you to get logged in. So this is just a screenshot of the very top of the form. Very easy to fill out though. You just answer all of the questions, which gets me all of the information I need to generate your paperwork. And once I receive that, or once Gretchen receives that, she's going to produce a sign-in form, an evaluation form, and a certificate of completion. This is what the sign-in form looks like. It has all of the information about us as the provider. It has all the information about you as the speaker. It has the information about the date and location of your class, and all of the CEU credits that are available for this specific class. Now, the key part of this sheet is on the left-hand side in the middle, these check boxes here. So every attendee that's at your class will fill out all the information on the form, and then if they want credit, they will check one of these boxes. If they checked one of these boxes, we're going to do everything that we can in order to register credit for that attendee. Now, something that happens pretty frequently is bad handwriting. So sometimes we can't read the membership number, sometimes we can't read the name and email address, sometimes we can't read any of it. So we're going to use whatever we have here to attempt to file that credit. If they have checked a box and we can't find them in the system, then we're going to send you an email and let you know. Hey David, I registered 8 people for your class credit. 4 of them got AIA credit. 2 of them got IDCEC credit. Jane Doe asked for AIA credit, but I couldn't find her in the system. At that point, we're requesting that you follow up with that person and get more information so that we can file the credit, or ask them to self-file their credit. That is an option for most architects and designers using a certificate of completion. So make sure that they know which box they should be checking, and it should be very self-explanatory. It's not different than most of the sign-in forms that they've seen other people presenting. Everyone should sign in on this form, even if they don't need credits or certificates. Sometimes you'll have students or administrative professionals who are helping or who are sitting in on the class. We do ask that everybody signs in just so we can keep track of how many people are participating in our classes each month and each year. Duplicate with the form as needed. If you have more than 10 people that are going to be attending your class, make sure that you print off more than one of those forms, and then you'll want to return that to me as soon as possible. So best practice is that we submit credits for the classes within 1 week of the class. And there are people out there who watch their transcripts very carefully, and if the 8th day comes and we haven't registered a credit, they're going to be calling or emailing asking us why that hasn't been done yet. So if you can give that paperwork to me within a couple of days, then we can get the credits filed within a couple of days. We don't always get them done immediately, so that we can reach that 1 week best practice deadline. Now that said, credits can be filed for up to a year. So if some things happen, the paperwork gets buried underneath some other paperwork, and you find it a few months later, still send it to me. We can file those credits for up to a year. This is what the evaluation form looks like. You'll hand this out to all of the attendees of your classes so that we can get feedback on the class that they are watching. Now, if somebody mentions on this form, I really enjoyed the presentation, but I wish you would have talked more about this, use that as an opportunity to follow up, position yourself as the expert, and build a relationship with that person. I do keep a tally of these answers. I do read through these, but I do not follow up with people's questions or concerns. As a speaker, that is your responsibility to do that. I would hand them out at the beginning of the presentation. If you wait until the end, a lot of times people are pretty anxious to get up and get moving. So I find if you hand them out at the beginning of the class, we just get more of them back. And you'll return these to me with your sign-in forms within 1 week of your class. And again, use this as a follow-up tool. If somebody asks a question or states a concern, please follow up with them. This is what the certificate of completion looks like. There is a blank line at the top, so you will handwrite the attendee's name there. It also has all of the credit information for that class and an area for you to sign at the bottom. So we give this to you before the class. Some people hand them out immediately following the class. Some people wait a couple of weeks just because it gives you another opportunity to make contact with that firm and with the people that are within that firm. So you can do that however you wish. You do not need to return these to me. All the information that I need is going to be on the sign-in form and the evaluation forms. We may send you other paperwork throughout your participation in the program. If we do, we simply are requesting that you hand it out to your attendees. There might be a regional education event or something that we're trying to promote, and we just want you to hand those out to spread the word for us. So we appreciate you distributing any additional paperwork that we send you to your attendees. So recap of the paperwork, you'll return the sign-in forms and the evaluation forms to me within 1 week of your class. We prefer that you scan and email them and send them to both me and Gretchen. Our addresses are there, and you'll also have them in the email that you get before the class with the paperwork. We're going to file all of the credits and retain all of the records. But bottom line, we make it as easy as we can for you guys. You have a lot on your plate, preparing to present the classes, scheduling your appointments, doing the presenting. So all of this background stuff with the paperwork and so on is already handled for you through the program. And now time for another quiz. How do you get paperwork for your upcoming classes? And I said this one twice, so hopefully you caught it. How do you get paperwork for your upcoming classes? All right, in the final section, how to become a certified speaker. Now, these are not new fees. These are the same fees that we talked about earlier, but I just want to go through them quickly again. You are either going to enroll as a typical company or as a premier company. If you're a typical company, you have your annual fee, and there's an additional $50 for each additional speaker. So if your company has 3 speakers, the first speaker is going to be covered under that $300 fee, and the second 2 will be billed an additional $50 for a total of $400 per year. Premier enrollment will be $2,500 up front with no additional $50 fees. If you are an MIA member in good standing, you are eligible to be an MIA+BSI certified speaker. That is the first step. Your company must be a member. The next step is to enroll into the program. This is a separate fee on top of your membership dues. The next step is to attend CEU orientation, and that's what you're doing right now. The third step is to complete the biography form. And some of you have already filled that out and have done these steps in a different order, which is perfectly okay as long as each of them are completed. The biography form is simply a 2-page Word document, and you fill in all of the blanks and send it back to us. And then finally, we have the speaker oath. And I'm going to talk quite a bit about this speaker oath because it's very important that you understand what your responsibilities are as a speaker and also understand what the MIA+BSI's responsibilities are as a provider. So before you sign that form, I want to make sure that you understand what you're signing. Your primary responsibilities as a speaker representing the MIA+BSI are prioritized as follows. Number 1, you will present the CEU courses and their educational value to your audience. Number 2, promote natural stone as the leading materials choice for residential and commercial applications. We are the Natural Stone Institute, and we want you to let people know that natural stone is a wonderful material, and yes, there are alternative materials out there, some of which might be more appropriate for certain applications, but we really want you to sing the praises of natural stone during these CEU presentations. Next, publicize the MIA+BSI as the authoritative source for information on standards of natural stone workmanship and practice, and deliver courses without endorsement, bias, marketing, or sales orientation. I understand that it is also my responsibility to learn the content of each presentation utilized by my organization by studying the available training materials and other relevant sources. So within that flash drive that has all of the resources, we're giving you some training materials. Depending on your knowledge and experience in the industry, you might need to go beyond those training resources in order to prepare yourself to present these classes. Once you sign this speaker oath, we're trusting you to present those courses when you're ready and to prepare yourself properly, because not only do you need to be able to present the content on the slides, you also need to be able to answer questions that those slides are going to yield from the audience. So make sure that you take that part seriously and do all of the prep work to be ready to present those classes. Read, understand, and disseminate all information regarding our participation with members of my organization involved with the CEU program. So you might have an administrative person who's helping you out with the paperwork or something else. As a speaker, it's your job to attend the orientation and to understand how everything works. If someone else is helping you, you just need to make sure that they know what they need to know to follow all of the rules and comply with the speaker oath also. Next is to ensure the quality of any educational programs that are being reported for my firm under this program. So we do our best to keep everything up to date, make sure that it's accurate, but if you spot something, please let us know. As someone who is presenting the courses, it is one of your responsibilities to help us make sure that everything is in good order. Next is to conduct our operations and programs in an ethical manner that respects the rights and worth of the professionals we serve, provide full and accurate disclosure of information about our programs, our promotional materials. This includes keeping up to date with any changes to class codes, organizational approval status, current logos, etc. NKBA seems to change their logo every couple of years, so we need to go through the PowerPoints and change that all out. That's one example of what this bullet point means. Another example is the class codes every 2 years. The classes will cycle, so make sure that you're downloading that latest PowerPoint if it's been a while since you've done so. And when you request paperwork, that's something that comes with that email. You have the sign-in form, the evaluation form, the certificate of completion. You also have a download link where you can get the most recent PowerPoint presentation. So if it's been a while, make sure that you download the new one. Next, ensure company logos, product names, and branding are limited to the first and last slides only. Recognize that any information and handouts distributed are done with the intent to reinforce the learning objectives, and defer product and proprietary specific questions for discussion either before or after the course is concluded. So if someone in your class raises their hand and they say, hey, you're talking a lot about sealers, which brand of sealer do you recommend? And the proper answer to that question would be, hey, that's a really great question. Unfortunately, this is an educational program and I need to keep this very generic, but at the end of this presentation, I can't wait to show you all about my product, my company's products, and why I feel these are best for your installations. So just make sure that you keep those questions to the beginning and the end of the presentation. And finally, I understand that it is not my responsibility nor privilege to distribute the program resources beyond my own company. My firm is an MIA+BSI member in good standing, abiding by the Code of Ethics, and I understand that the MIA+BSI's programs are subject to quality audit and that we may be removed from the system, forfeiting paid fees, credits presented by other members, and required to return all electronic versions of education programs if we are non-compliant. And that sounds a bit harsh, and it's meant to, because if we have somebody coming into the program, they're presenting our classes, but they're not meeting the learning objectives, they are not only sacrificing the credits that they themselves presented, but they're also sacrificing the credits that other members have presented through the program. So it's very important that you understand this speaker oath and that you understand that you are representing the MIA+BSI when you're giving these classes. So please think about all of these bullet points before you sign and return that speaker oath. Now, once you complete all of the 4 steps to becoming a certified speaker, we will give you a seal, which you see an example of on the screen, and we will also give you a PDF certificate, and you can either print that and frame it or use it to market yourself however you wish to use it. But this slide right here exists on all of the PowerPoints that we have in our program, and what it's meant to do is add some credibility to you, to your audience. So there's a lot of work that's happened behind the scenes to get this program and this presentation ready. You've done a lot of work up front to prepare yourself by going to orientation and by studying the class material. We want your audience to know that the Premier Stone Association has certified you to present these classes. Now, quiz time. If your company is enrolled in the program, so that's step 1, enrolled in the program. You have attended orientation, step 2. You've filled out the speaker biography form, that's step 3. What is your final step to becoming certified? There's 4 steps: enrolling in the program, attending orientation, filling out the speaker biography form. The final step to becoming certified is what? Okay, so wrapping up for today, empowering members to use your expertise and your knowledge in the industry to educate the design community. The more architects and designers know about stone, the more comfortable they're going to be specifying it in their projects, the more stone you will sell. It's a great way to give back to the industry, and it's a great way to position yourself as the go-to expert on natural stone, so that when the time comes for those architects and designers to specify stone in their project, they're going to think of you. All of these questions are going to be emailed to each of you individually after the class is completed today. We're also going to let you know what your next steps are. So some of you, your next step is to enroll in the program. Some of you are at the very end of the process and simply need to sign the speaker oath. So once we finish again, give us a couple hours here and Gretchen will email you to let you know what your next steps are. She'll also email you all of these questions that you need to answer in order to verify that you were watching the webinar today. So thank you for attending. Again, my name is Sarah Gregg. You can reach out to me with any questions or you can reply to the email. I thank you for your time today and hope that everybody learned a little bit more about how to use the program to build relationships with architects and designers. Thank you guys.